Man, we gonna take a selfie?
Yeah.
You got it on video, I think.
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to say that you answered my question honestly
Yeah,
and,
I tried.
and much more skillfully than some of the other people that I've posed it to.
Good.
I do want to say I do offer just a flower for peace to all the candidates. Should you get to the presidency,
Beautiful.
that there be peace
Thank
over
you.
your term. Peace over your term.
That's
Chris
what I would
Christie.
like to. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you to Blake's for that. Now, you're a Catholic, is that right?
I am.
You're a believer.
Yes, sir.
So I have a friend who's always hammered me with 3 points about the Bible and politics. And point 1 was Proverbs, and I believe it was 6:16 through 9, and it was about hands with innocent blood on them. And that's I think that's a problem when we talk about all the civilian deaths that are happening because of the wars that we're waging. Number 2 was about the environment, Revelation 11:18. God says to destroy the destroyers of the earth. I know you're for the Keystone XL and fracking causing earthquakes. And the last one was an eye for an eye, but we need to resist evil, and he who hits you, you need to turn the other cheek. I heard you the other day. Well, you just talked about punching people just now.
No,
So,
that was me being punched, but don't worry about it.
well, if you were punched, I mean, you turn the other cheek.
Well, it depends.
But you're a believer. You're a believer in the Bible, right?
You can take any portion of the Bible, read any portion of it, and interpret it the way you want to interpret it. So you interpret the destroyers of the earth portion as applying to fracking. I don't. Those are 2 completely valid interpretations. That's my opinion. That's yours. The great thing about faith is that there isn't only one way to look at it. People find different refuge in their faith, and people also use faith, as we know at times, for harm. And we've seen that with radical Islamic terrorism around the world, where I don't believe there's anything inherently violent about Islam. Yet, we have people who, in the name of God through Islam, have committed horrific acts in the name of the religion. And so, that's one of the reasons why religion shouldn't be in politics, in my view. Does not mean that we don't believe in God. I absolutely believe in God. And yes, I am a Catholic, and I believe in my church. But I also know that there are folks who have different interpretations of different passages of the Bible, like you and I obviously do, from the way you just placed it out. So the fact is that I need to have respect for your faith and what you believe in. And I would hope that you'd have respect for mine and what I believe in and how I read it. And so, in the end, that's why this country put in its constitution that we shouldn't establish a religion, because you shouldn't have to believe or practice a religion that isn't in your heart, and nor should I.
And we should all acquit ourselves in a way that we believe is consistent with the teachings that we follow if we follow certain teachings from a religious perspective. That's what I'll always continue to try to do. I mean, for instance, I'm a Catholic, but I've used birth control, and not just the rhythm method, okay? So, my church has a teaching against birth control. Does that make me an awful Catholic because I believe and practiced that function during part of my life? I don't think so.
But you know what? I'm only going to find out when it's my time to be judged. I won't be able to tell now. You can't tell me. I can't tell myself. And we'll only find out when we ultimately get to judgment, which I believe is only by God. And only at the time when He calls us to come and meet that judgment. We'll all be judged. I'm confident of. We'll all be judged. And so, we'll see what happens. The good thing for me is I won't know till it's all over. And neither will you. But let's try to conduct ourselves in a way that has respect for each other's beliefs, even though we might respectfully disagree on certain things that you might bring up.
Can you just address the civilian deaths? I mean, can we get...
Hey, listen, war is a very difficult thing, but self-defense has always been acknowledged by religion as something that's appropriate. You just mentioned an eye for an eye.
It's collateral damage, though.
Well, I understand that, and you know what? Human beings are imperfect. And if you're waiting for the perfect war, you're never going to find it. Never has been one in human history. I'd love to avoid war. Everybody would. But there have been times when we couldn't avoid war. The fact is, I'm glad our country stood up against Hitler and the Japanese in World War II, or this world would have been a much different place if we hadn't. And I'm sure that there was collateral damage that happened in World War II as well, that innocent people were killed there as well. But we also know that Germany was engaged in the most horrific Holocaust of that time, in singling out certain people based on their religion and sending them to their own extermination. How do you balance that?
Well, but you make an effort, though. You'd make an effort, right?
So I just think that, quite frankly, with all due respect, these things are a lot more complicated than all that. And we have to both acknowledge and respect the complexity of these things and not just look at them from a black and white perspective, because I don't think they are black and white.
Thank you.
You got it. Yes, ma'am, in the back.